So I was thinking recently about time, and more specifically, wasting time. And I was thinking about it because, I think a lot of us have the sense that, there aren't enough hours in the day. If only there was more time. Um, we want more time to hang out with friends. We want more time to engage in fun activities and our hobbies. Um, Maybe we want more time for that project at work, and or the older generations will talk about, yes, time goes so fast, cherish it, don't waste it. um, It'll all be gone soon. um, and this is, of course, in part why people bring up mindfulness. um, be in the moment, be present with the world, yourself, others, because one day it'll all be a distant memory. um, and on top of that, just to tell you a little bit about me, I would say I don't quite fear death, but I do fear the unlived life, right? So I don't want to die before I've had my say, so to speak. I don't want to die before I've had my fair share of experiences and connections, and um, read enough books, and just done certain things that I really want to do. Right? If I were to be diagnosed with a fatal disease tomorrow, you know, in some sense, I think I would feel like my life was kind of a waste because, I'm 25, and so in theory, there's so many years ahead of me, so many plans I have. Sorry to get morbid, but the point is, um, sometimes I wonder if we are too obsessed with um, not wasting time. And I say that because I have a suspicion. I mean, I don't know. This isn't really provable. This is just an intuition. But, I don't. I think our time is, to some extent, going to be wasted inevitably. Um, right? And I say that because, I think what people fear about death is not um, just the concept death as such. It's the trippy idea that we won't, of nothingness, that it's, our experience literally, lights out, no more. Right? I think it's this idea of nothingness that really is horrifying to some people because, as long as we can remember, as long as we can remember, there's been something, right? Us. As long as we can remember, we've had experiences of the world, ourselves, other people, and that's just kind of always and that's just kind of always how it's been. Um, so because our experience is limited to our experience, to put it tautologically, um, or because our experience is limited to um, us, us existing. Um, you can't really conceptualize not existing. It's just, I mean, we know it will happen at some point, but it's not something you can entirely wrap your head around because everything is connected in some way to your own existence. I mean, this sounds very obtuse, but like I I think that's why some of our time will be inevitably wasted. And I think that's fine, right? I think we can be so obsessed with seizing the day, so obsessed with um, squeezing every drop out of the orange peel. Um, that's not an expression, but you know what I mean. Squeezing every drop out of the lemon, shall we say? Then um, it can become a kind of unhealthy. It can become unhealthy, and it can become unhealthy um, because it's one thing to try to have a lot of experiences in life. It's one thing to you know enjoy yourself and try new things. Um, it's another thing to do that to the point where you're kind of just like doing things to do things, and you're kind of just doing things because you feel like you have to. You feel like you ought to be busy. Um, you you hate the idea of potentially being lazy or being perceived as lazy. Again, it's. I think our fear of wasting time is connected with our obsession around working. Like we have to work day in day out. Our economic output is our equal to our moral value. Um, and that's of course not the case, right? Your life is meant to be lived as well as, or you're meant to live as much as you are to work. Um, and to that extent, um, it's okay to sit on the couch, watch reality TV, and eat potato chips. It's okay to scroll on TikTok. It's okay to sit in your room and just vibe and not even do anything. Um, it's okay to waste some of your time because that means you're living. That means you're being a person. That means you're doing what you're supposed to do, which is live. And again, you know, if you read like a biography of someone, it's connected to their to the way they live their life, but it's different from every second of a lived life, because every second of a lived life, well, it'd be much less interesting to read about and to write about. Um, and also, it's just a very different experience for the person themselves. Thoughts going on, perceptions, um, and you can't really capture that in a monograph. Um, so yeah, I mean, there's an aspect to life in which you know you're not even meant to do something; you're just meant to be, and wasting time, and in wasting time, that is a way of being. Um, but like I said, I mean, it's just not only is it a way of being, it's just inevitable because you're a living organism. Um, you're not a experience maximizing machine, right? You weren't programmed to literally get the most out of every second of every day, no matter what. You're meant to live your life. And part of living your life is wasting time. Part of living your life is laying in bed longer than you're expecting to. Part of life is scrolling through TikTok. Part of life is reading that trashy novel um, that your friends told you is terrible. Um, that's also part of life, as well as all the the times when we're feeling we're being productive, or the times when we're making lifelong memories. It's all part of your life. Um, And so I think we ought to make peace with the times in our life when we feel like we're not wasting our time, and the times in our life when we feel like we are wasting our time. Now, I guess, I'll add the caveat that, if you personally feel like you're wasting too much time, well, you can change that. Like you have some leeway in how you spend your time. And so if you want to spend more time learning a language or playing a sport or hanging out with friends, like by all means, like you should. Don't take this video as saying you shouldn't do those things. And but it's okay. But you don't have to feel guilty for not squeezing as much experience out of every second of every day. You don't have to feel bad about that. You don't have to feel bad about, wasting some time here and there. Because again, I think it's inevitable, and I think it's human, and I think it's part of it's part of what it means to be human. And you can also you also will notice, for people who are still holding on to the religion of productivity, you could say, well, even in your times when you're not doing anything, or you're resting, or you're watching trash TV, that resting and recuperating can in the long run make you more productive, and it can inspire you to do more creative work, or can inspire you to figure out a solution to that problem at work, or in your research, or your brain's working on things when you're not even when you feel like you're not being productive. And so actually, in the creative process, the times when you're not doing something, the times when you feel like you're being lazy, can actually be intellectually beneficial. Now, again, I don't think of wasting time in that sort of utilitarian fashion necessarily, but that is another way to think about it. So anyway, like I said, do find a way or do live your life in such a way that feels meaningful and productive, and if you feel like you're wasting too much time with one thing or another, you have the power to change that, and I wish you luck. But don't feel guilty, don't feel bad for wasting your time. We all do it. We're all going to do it. We're all inevitably going to do it. Everyone who has lived, and everyone who will live, and everyone who does live. And that's okay. That's part of life. Being the more important moments of life are part of the package. The less important moments of life are part of the package. The parts of life where you feel like you're being productive are part of the package, and the parts of the life and the parts of your life where you feel like you're doing absolutely nothing are also part of the package. So thank you for listening, and take care.